Omuina Quaba, the Bancassati native when Chabia, and I am a shabby fee, Bartine, Honorable King for Sumana Babin Edene, final ruling Babontin about 4 MP seats to be declared vacant. Now, the majority leader in Parliament, Honorable Kwame Afenoma Kisi who said they be assembly a bit me buabo, MPP Amanyokune Sunu, and on Saturday assembly at the court, Supreme Court for interpretations, native for 7 judges and at Sena assembly su, and 5 judges say ruling in favor of Kwame Afenoma Markins and 2 Susa ruling against Afenoma Markins 94. As the saying goes, majority carries the vote, which means Afenoma Markins who said in Kunim El Honum for what Tabri assembly so sa akwa Rashabi fee. Now it's for Abankins for Sumana Babin so sad in ruling Ababontin says say the Supreme Court no so and which he cannot also go against the orders of the Supreme Court or no so sad in ruling to sa Ababontin concerning and Sasama Akoso Supreme Court. No kwa. Now it's for mom you say I receive penal to aba and in 2025 no Attorney General Godfred Odame Dabe to say Sikachichi DB power Akoso during former President John Dramani Mahama. Emresno no sa onhwe se sankofo e ba fom ho edipa etifo sika bebrebe we sanka metum de abo oman Ghana etifo sankofo na ata friski edinu kwa enutinu in 2025 no sankofo na mehwe na mo so akokotre aban kukum na we ne kasebo abeto ensa enuti assembly pine kunukutie ensa sema ekoso ehon memramda mu ina ase.
There's some room for kind of review anything at all, but the point I'm making is that whenever the court speaks, it's such a clear and emphatic order. Even if it's a very narrow majority, that's the decision of the court, and that decision must be respected. And I'm saying that it results in a degeneration of our society and a destruction of our democratic order for anybody at all to refuse to comply with orders of the Supreme Court. And I think that's non-negotiable. It's something that we must all respect. I have heard some statements by certain political actors to the effect that the case ought to be withdrawn and that there ought to be negotiation and all that. I'm quite surprised because indeed, firstly, I did not hear such expression of a willingness to negotiate and all, or maybe such instruction to the speaker or direct suggestion to the speaker for negotiation and all when the speaker started embarking on this act. And I think that for me it's very important that the Supreme Court ruled upon this matter because it is something that had been occurring in this country. A tendency for it to occur really was there. A tendency for it to occur again was there. It was necessary that the Supreme Court came to this clear conclusion and determination of the matter. The meaning of Article 97, Clause 1, paragraphs G and H. And I think we must all respect it.
What do you expect to happen in Parliament? Parliament is currently on break. What do you expect to happen with the Speaker of Parliament in particular also?
I think the Speaker of Parliament himself, to start with, indicated in his address to the press last week that the case raised very serious legal issues. Those were serious legal issues and matters bordering on governance of the country. And first, so I must express my utter shock at this refusal to even file a process. If indeed the Speaker of Parliament himself recognized that the matter raised serious legal issues, as he said to the media last week, where else would you address legal issues but in the court of law? Where else would you have such a definitive pronouncement on the so-called serious legal issue that the Speaker himself recognized in his press statement, done by the Supreme Court of Ghana? So as for the Speaker of Parliament, indeed, is law-abiding. I've known him for a very long time to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court. As I said, it is non-negotiable in every civilized society. When an order of the court is given, no matter how highly placed or lowly placed the court is, even if it's a magistrate's court, you have to obey until it is set aside.
Speaking of knowing him,
what does it relate to this? The American Constitution itself, very thin, as we all know. Yet, that Constitution has survived over 200 years. I think that, of course, there are certain provisions in the Constitution that I think that ought to be amended, and I express my views on it to the media. Article 78, Clause 1, which enjoins the President to appoint majority of his ministers from Parliament, ought to be amended. There ought to be that flexibility. I think that certain institutions, for example, the Electoral Commission, NCC, and what have you, the appointment of their heads has to be with the prior approval of Parliament. But I don't think that it calls for a complete overhaul of the Constitution. And indeed, this Constitution is very strong. And it is one constitution which even goes as far as prescribing consequences of a failure to carry out the Supreme Court order. The Supreme Court order, the consequences are set out clearly in Article 2, clauses 3, 4, and 5 of the Constitution, that any person to whom an order of the Supreme Court is directed shall duly carry out same. And a failure to carry out such an order, of course, has the consequences of a criminal punishment. In the case of the president, will even result in the president and vice president will result in removal from office.
And finally, do you expect the Speaker of Parliament to recall Parliament on his own volition after this ruling, given that the court has spoken in such a wide manner?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I said, it's an emphatic determination by the court on the matter, and the Speaker of Parliament has no option but to comply. I mean, I think that we must stop giving with one hand and taking with the other. As I said, it really amounts to double standards and an exercise in contradiction for the Speaker of Parliament in his address to the media say that the case raises such serious legal issues and matters bordering on governance and all that, and then refuse to take back. So this country refuse to take part in the proceedings. I think in this country we must recognize some people for who they are and what they do. This hypocrisy and double standards must cease. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter on all matters in the country, including an interpretation of the Constitution. Indeed, it's the only court solely seeks registration to pronounce on the meaning of relevant provisions of the Constitution. And the Constitution means what the Supreme Court says it means, and nothing more. It is the same in America, and as I said, America, United Kingdom, and all advanced democracies, that is the order that they respect. There's no way a Supreme Court would give a decision in America or United Kingdom, and then the Prime Minister, apart from expressing his disagreement with the decision, or the President of America, of course he has a freedom of expression to express his disagreement with the decision, but he has no option but to comply, and they usually comply, and that is it.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. We'll get pretty shortly to the leadership of the majority in the House who are here. We'll get to the majority leader shortly. So we'll get to the majority leadership shortly. Take the microphone. So the court has, by a 5-2 majority, affirmed the reliefs that were being sought by the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, in his action before the court. We should remind you that the panel is CJ Tokono, Mariam Owusu, Avril Lovelace Johnson, Kwame Esidu Adibu, Amadou Tanko, Yao Dakwa Asare, and another. And so 2 persons dissenting in the presence of Avril Lovelace Johnson and Justice Amadou Tanko by way of jurisdiction. And then the 5 other judges who have been hearing these interlocutory matters have ruled that the majority leader's action in court must succeed. We will hear from him pretty shortly as the Attorney General himself wraps up his interview with the media, as we get to hear finally from the leadership of the NPP persons who are also in court. Let's get back to listening to the Attorney General.
And I did not raise any issue with that but to appeal. I did not say I'm not going to respect the decision of the court. I respect the decision of the court, and until the decision is set aside by a higher court, which is the Supreme Court, that decision will remain binding on all. So we must stop this hypocrisy and exercises in contradiction. As I said, that when our reaction or attitude to court rulings depends on how palatable we deem it. We cannot react to decisions based on how palatable we deem it, and that's exactly what is happening.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. We'll hear from the majority leader also, who is just descending to finally get to hear from him in terms of how this entire case has traveled so far. The leader, majority leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin, about to give us a word. Majority leader, the court 5-2 affirming all the reliefs that you are seeking. Your initial reaction to this?
So, my friend from Channel, I want to know your position today. No, I'm just asking you. I want to know your position today.
You accept that he's not.
No. I just want us to have clarity for the purposes of education. What is your position now? I want to know. What has the court said? That what? No, yes, we are educating ourselves. You know, I want that we are educating ourselves. We are not fighting. We are educating ourselves. So I want to know from you.
He doesn't want to.
No. We need to get into it. So what is it? I want to know. That's what. That is so. I mean, I just wanted clarity on this matter. We can only thank God and also is a moment for all of us to rally around the choice we made in 1992, democracy. Democracy requires decency, and that is the path the MPP